Talk to me. What are we discussing today?
Well, we're going to discuss a couple things. So we're going to discuss the O'Connor Parkview area of Toronto and some recent sales there. But first, I want to ask you about a sale that occurred in North York recently. And it happened as a result of you representing a buyer client, and it was a multiple offer situation on a semi-detached property. And you ended up getting the property in a situation where there was 56 offers, I think, on the property. So that just blew my mind.
Got
You
you.
tell me, and then we talked about it after. Yeah.
So
So we talked about it after.
it was definitely an interesting transaction, I would say. There was actually 52 offers on the property, and the property is literally located just west of Victoria Park and York Mills, Parkwoods Village. That's what they call it. It backs onto Parkwoods Village. It's on the north side of Parkwoods Village. It is a semi, and it basically has 2 units in terms of that's what you can turn it into. The basement has a separate entrance. It has really high ceilings. So when we went to go check it out, it was maybe 4 days prior to the offer registration date. The property literally didn't have a door. There was no lockbox. It was just push the door really hard and you'll get in. So we got in, we checked it out. It was halfway gutted already. No kitchen, no bathrooms, no pipes, no plumbing, no wiring. I'm assuming it was a personal reason that the sellers were selling. Mind you, I like to find out those sort of details because that helps me with my negotiation. And I did eventually.
Yeah.
Now, come offer day, I'm talking to my client, and my client is in the construction business because that's the only person that should be picking up this property, because anybody else wouldn't be able to get a mortgage on it, like a traditional mortgage, because it's not livable, it's not habitable, and banks won't really entertain that, especially nowadays. So offer day comes, it's about 8 p.m. People had until 7 p.m. to register their offers. We were at 51, 52 offers at this point. And at this point, I call my client. I'm like, you know what? There's a very slim chance that we'll get it based on the price that we're offering. But let me try. So I started talking to the selling side and going back and forth and this, that. And they told us that by 9 p.m., we're going to let the top 10 offers know that they're in the top 10. I get a call around 9:15. It turns out I'm in the top 4. Now, the price we offered on it, just for full disclosure, this place was listed for $550,000, which in my mind is about $200,000 to $225,000 below market. There's similar properties listed where they are original, not renovated, same size in the same area, not renovated but livable, for about $800,000. So our initial offer was just under 710. After going back and forth, we held firm. Our offer was firm, most of all. So the moral of the story is, when you're going into a multiple offer situation and you see an astronomical number of offers registered, don't be scared. Educate yourself and find out what makes your offer better than the others. And it doesn't always just come down to the numbers, because if it came down to the numbers, I can guarantee you this place would have sold just under 800, because there's listings for 899, kind of similar. But a lot of the people that came in, they were really not educated about the financing options that this property would need, because you can't finance it this traditionally unless if you have full cash, which not a lot of people do today. So if you're thinking about the full cash option and there's 52 offers, right away that puts out like 30 of that 52 offers. If you need private money, most people don't know how to get it. Most people would think it's expensive. Most people will be scared of the rate that you would get. And so that puts out another 10 guys. And then the rest of the guys may be conditional offers. The rest of the guys may just be throwing a dart in the dark. So at the end of the day, we held firm. We were asked to go up in price. We didn't go up in price. We got the property. The best part of it was we only paid $715 for it. And the after rehab value of this property would sit anywhere around, if you rehab it properly with 2 units with permits and everything, which is what we're planning on doing, would be anywhere around 900 to 950,000, maybe a little bit more. Now, there are sales in the area for properties that have sold that were renovated over time, like handyman owned the house and he did the living room this year, he did the bathroom next year, kind of thing. But those have sold for over 900. Now, we also did our homework in terms of how much the property would cost to rehab. We brought in the right people. We got the right quotes, just so that we understand where we stand. keeping in mind that you always need a contingency when it comes to estimating costs. So the contingency I usually like to have is about 20%. So if somebody's telling me the rehab is going to cost 90 grand, I'll add 20, 25 grand on top of that just to be on the safe side. So to go over the numbers in terms of how I evaluated the deal and decided whether or not it was a good purchase, I'll just I'll show you some papers on the screen and let me know if you can read them from your side. Is that legible?
Yeah, I can. Purchase price,
Okay.
rental
Or
cost.
so these papers, we'll try and upload them on the screen so that the viewers can see. But in terms of, so the purchase price was 715, and the rental cost that we were quoted was about 90 grand. I'm estimating 110. That puts your cost out of pocket 715 plus 110. You're at 825. That's how much it's going to cost you, and the value after rental is 950. So automatically 950 minus 825, you're at $125,000 forced equity, forced appreciation. You forced appreciated the place because you improved it, right? And you actually made it livable. You turned it into 2 units, 2 kitchens, maybe added an extra bathroom upstairs. You gave the home buyer all of their conveniences. Now, let's dive into the finer details that a lot of people don't look at. Land transfer tax is something you want to consider. On this property is about 13 grand. The purchaser is a first-time home buyer. Carrying costs for 5 months. This is very important because if, let's say you're a purchaser and if you want to buy this yourself and renovate it, let's say the property was livable where you could get a mortgage on it. Say you have, let's call it $150,000 and you want to be able to pick this up and you're qualified. So you go to the bank and you say, you know what, I'm going to buy this with 10% down and I want an insured mortgage. So on 715, your 10% down would be about 72 grand. Plus you're going to need money for the rehab, which leaves you with the 80, 90,000.
Right.
But when you're going to CMHC for that, when you're going to the bank for that, and they're financing it for you, your CMHC premium, which is the insurance premium they tack onto your debt, which will become payable when the mortgage gets discharged, alone was over $15,000. So right off the bat, you're taking out 15 grand from your pocket because you're insuring the mortgage, because you're not going in with 20%, and you're giving it to the bank, giving it to the insurer. On top of that, you have the cost of borrowing, which is your interest. Let's say this is a 5-month project, 6 months project. That's another 12, 13 grand. So your cost of borrowing total all of a sudden is over 30 grand. Now, let's look at an alternative option. Alternative option, especially for this property, would be private financing. A lot of people say they have access to private financing. The key to having access to private financing is being able to call someone who has the money at that moment in their bank, who can cut you a check the next day and who can make a decision in a split second. Who can, like, you can give them the deal, they can underwrite it in their mind and be like, this is what I'm willing to do. So as we were negotiating, I called a few of my private investors to see if they're willing to lend on this. I got a few different deals. I mean, because the property is not livable, naturally the rate would be high. It is a first mortgage, but we were able to secure something anywhere in between 8 to 10% interest only payment. Now, the cost of borrowing based on 8 to 10% on 90% loan to value, so the 715 minus 71.5, it was about $643,500, the mortgage amount. Cost of borrowing on that was just about 20 grand for a 5-month period, right? So
20,000. Okay.
Correct. So the cost of borrowing on a private mortgage happens to be about 10 grand lower than you going through the traditional channels and getting one through the bank because you're paying the CMHC premium on top of it. And these people were willing to do 90% loan to value. Relationships do matter in this case. After looking at that, we decided to go that route. Apart from that, let's move down into the cost. So we mentioned the land transfer tax being about 13 to 15 grand. He's a first-time home buyer. If he wasn't a first-time home buyer, it would have been about 20 grand. And the carrying cost was another 20 grand. Commissions, if he had decided to sell the place, would on average be about 40 grand for this transaction on the selling end, right? So that leaves him a net of $52,000 net profit if he flipped this property, quote unquote. But I believe in buying and holding and buying smart, where when you're holding, it doesn't cost you a lot of capital out of your pocket. So let's look at the option where we're keeping the property. The value after rental, as we discussed, was 950. You go to a traditional bank at that point and you refinance this based on 80% loan to value. at 950.
Yeah. Once the
80% of
property
950.
ready
Once
to
the
go.
property is all done, you've already incurred the expenses and everything, and now you're contemplating: do I keep it or do I sell it?
Yeah.
Who's gonna
So
be
your
who's gonna be
client
the
is carrying
winner?
private debt. Your
Correct,
client's carrying the private debt just for 5 months. Then that's
correct,
the
correct,
winner.
correct. Maximum. So if I
And you're
keep it,
buying a $950,000 home for $825,000, basically,
correct,
plus closing
correct,
costs, plus carrying
correct,
costs. That's the whole proposition here. Okay.
correct.
Yeah.
But let's look at
Keep
the
going.
back end of it, Elliot. Let's say you finished your rental in 2, 3, 4 months, depending on who's doing it. I mean, if you're familiar with construction, it would really help for you to get into a project like this. I wouldn't just recommend anybody to just go pick up a house that's been gutted and you don't know what to do next.
Mm.
But this particular client was familiar. So at 950, if you refinance that property based on 80% loan to value, you're getting $760,000 from the bank based on today's rate, which
Okay.
today's rates are very, very good. My last client got 2.4, for example, on a 5-year. Yeah.
Wow.
So at 2.4, if we were to do the math, you have a mortgage of 760, right? And it's
Right.
cost you 825,000 in between purchasing the property and renovating it. Now you back out 760 from 825, cash out of
Yeah.
pocket at this point is only $65,000.
Wow.
Do you get what I'm saying? So you
Okay, yeah.
invested $65,000. Now you own a property that's worth 950, right? Now, this doesn't mean anything if you're not getting a return on your $65,000. Now, the market is what it is. We're in COVID times, yada, yada, yada. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, you don't just buy things based on the hope that it will appreciate. You can't speculate that the values will go up and just buy it based on that. You're missing a couple other pillars that you need for that investment to be a valid one, right? So
Mhm.
let's look into the rental numbers. The rental numbers in the area for a renovated three bedroom, one bath upper is
Yeah.
anywhere from 25 to 27. This one is actually going to have 1.5 bathrooms on the main level, so not just one. So we're giving them a powder room as well as a full bathroom, right? It's going to have its own laundry. It's going to have everything that you need to have. It's going to have. It's going to be done very nice, but not out of the world luxury. It's going to be just right for what the property needs. So you're
Mhm.
going to get about 27 from upstairs. The last basement I rented that was this size, even east of here, I rented it for $1,800. So you're going to get about $1,800 from the
Wow.
basement. Mind you, the basement has super high ceilings, super large windows. The bones are great. It's all there, right? So now you have an income of $4,500 in between 27 from upstairs and 18 from downstairs coming in every month. How
Yeah.
much is this costing you per month based on the 80% mortgage you got based on, let's say, the 2.4 rate per month
Yeah.
plus the property taxes? So mortgage plus property tax is costing you about 3160. So
Okay.
$3,200, call it, right? So your monthly net
Right.
cash flow, 4,500 minus 3166, that's the exact number. So your monthly net cash flow is $1,334. So you're getting this every single month after paying your mortgage and your property tax. You're getting this extra money in your pocket because it's net positive
Wow.
cash flow. Now, one other thing we need to consider when we're calculating return on investment, the investment here being the $65,000 out of pocket, right? Is the
Yeah.
debt repayment. So over a 1 year period, we're calculating return on investment and annual return on investment. Over a 1 year period, your principal, your debt on your mortgage will go down by $17,861, right? So that's your debt repayment in year one, plus your annual cash flow, which would be the $1,334 that you're putting in your pocket multiplied by 12, is $16,008. If you add these
Yeah.
two numbers together, you're at
Right.
$33,869 annual return with zero appreciation. This is considering the property value will remain the
Yeah.
same, right? We're not speculating here. Now, how do we calculate return on investment? We have $33,869 in return in year one. We take that number, we divide
Mhm.
it by the cash that we invested, which is 65,000. So 33,869
Yes.
divided by 65,000, you're at a 52% return on investment, and your investment is tied to a security that is real estate, that is an essential need. So if you engineer the deal this way, even if
That's great.
you're against 51, 52 offers, you're going to be able to make sense of your numbers. And so plan A would be pick it up, sell it, and make your money and walk. Plan B would be pick it up, keep it. It'll end up costing you 65,000 in total cash out of pocket, and collect your $1,300 a month in positive cash flow and move on to the next property.
Wow, that's impressive. That's good. And I mean, I can tell you for sure, out of the other 51 agents that were involved in the deal, they didn't look at this. They didn't do the work that you've put in here for your clients. So that's just a great job. That's a great story to tell. And all those numbers are absolutely accurate. I was following along. Man, you were just going there, and I was just typing numbers on my calculator, and it's all legit. It's all right there. The real deal. That's a fantastic investment. Yeah,
I'm just gonna put this out here.
950.
So purchase price, excuse my gibberish writing, but they're the numbers.
Yeah, so the mortgage, yep. The profit.
Okay, and then we go on page 2. No, this was page 1. So page 1.
Right. Purchase price $715. Yep. Value after reno, increased equity, forced appreciation, expenses, sons, reno, land transfer tax, carrying costs for 5 months, commissions if selling. Yeah, this is something that you would want to keep, though, ideally.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Because think about it: if you sell this, the buyer that's picking it up from you for $950, right? Is so. Let's do the math for that buyer. What's his return on investment? Let's say they're picking it up for $950, and they're putting $200,000 in cash in between the 20% down, as well as the land transfer tax and everything else. So on $200,000, they're realizing a return of $33,869, which is your annual cash flow of 16 grand plus your annual principal pay down of 17,800. So on 200, let's do the math. Let's divide 33,869 divided by 200,000.
Yep.
Multiplied by 100. You're getting a return of 17%. So your buyer at 950 is a happy camper. Provided that they're buying a property that they know they're picking it up. And I don't think I would even price it at 950 if we're going to market. I would want to get a little bit more just based on what we're providing. So you as the buyer, you're getting 2 full units, both with their own separate entrance, a brand new exterior driveway, concrete, a brand new exterior look. The brick is being stained. The entire aluminum profile is being changed. Windows are we're going to make sure all the windows are new. We're going to have egress windows in the basement. The basement's going to have its own kitchen, 2 bedrooms, washroom, laundry. You're just going to have absolutely everything ready to go. So for the investor to buy this, it's a turnkey opportunity. You buy it, you rent it out. And yes, rental inventory is high today, but we're targeting areas where there aren't a lot of rentals and people still need to be there. And we're in the lower end market in terms of rents. So you know that market, there's a high turnover, so things will move. A family would be willing to pay $2,500, $2,700 to move into a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit with access to a backyard and a proper parking and a 1-car garage. You know what I mean? So the buyer of this place is literally buying a turnkey property that's designed for either them to rent it out up and down, or the reason why we're putting it in a second washroom is, let's say you're pushing the envelope in terms of qualifying, but then you need your minimum 2 bathrooms to service your family's needs. So now if you have a 3-bed, 2-bath upstairs, your family's good. On top of it, you're getting $1,800 from downstairs. So if you bought it for $950, let's say you're cash flow positive by $1,300, right? If you rent the up and down, take out the $2,700 because you're living upstairs. Now it's costing you $1,500 a month to live in this property. $1,500 a month to live in this property. You know what I mean? So any way you look at it, it makes sense. But it only makes sense if the project is done right.
rents for freehold properties in Toronto haven't really come down during COVID either. They're remaining strong because it's a staple property, staple product rather. I mean, family homes, rental properties, lower price point, entry price point, it's all, it's staying basically. So
I
that's
feel
just a
like
great,
COVID has forced people, like we have some clients now that are living in condos and it's time for them to move out. And the only question that we ask them first is, do you want to move into a condo or a house from a condo, right? Most of them,
yeah,
a lot more now than pre-COVID, are now wanting to move into a house. Why is that? Because we're locked up at home, because there's, curfews and this and that, quarantine laws. And I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but if you're in a condo, there's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do. And if you're renting and it's for the short term, for 1 year, 2 years, you're going to want to rent a house. And then, let's say you have kids. I have kids. I couldn't see myself living in a downtown condo today. I mean, if I had to, I would. It is what it is. But if I had the choice, which is what people today have,
yes,
right? There's a lot of condos for lease and there's some freehold properties for lease. They're going to go for the freehold. They're going to go for something with a backyard. They're going to go for something with some space, right? So that's the moral of the story here. It was definitely a good deal. If
that's
I find
impressive.
another one, I'll be on it.
Wow, that's great, man. I'm gonna have to play this video back in slow motion just to catch all of your points here, man, and all the numbers and go through everything. But you're on fire this morning, Nerses. That was fantastic. That was an amazing deal that you got for our clients. That's the bottom line. 52 offers. We were the winning bid, and there's still value on the table for the client. Nobody's blowing their brains out. Nobody's overpaying, right?
And
And
Elliot, we
you
were
got
the
the deal
winning bid, not because of our number, not because
yeah,
of our
right.
dollar value that was on our offer. It's because of the entire offer and how firm it was and how we communicated the fact that we have our ducks in a row with the selling side. Whereas, let's just say I spoke to the listing agent and she said, let's say there's a lot of better offers, but some of them don't even know they need private funds. Some of them think they're going to go to TD, RBC, or whatever and finance it because here's my pre-approval along with my offer. Imagine you send your pre-approval, which is a great thing to do in 99% of cases, but imagine you send your pre-approval from a Schedule A bank along with this offer to strengthen your offer. That's going to kill your offer because the listing side is going to look at it and be like, you think you're buying this property and you think you're going to go finance it from a Schedule A bank? You got this all wrong. We're on the wrong book, not even wrong page.
Needs electrical.
Yeah.
It's not habitable. That's what it comes down to.
It's definitely not habitable.
Yeah, you knew the financing options on the property, what they were and what they were not, based on it not being habitable, and you leveraged that with the agent. So that's just a great job, man.
Thank you, bro.
Another happy client.
Another happy client. That's it. Another happy client. That's what we like to do, sir.